ping pong balls, you name it. Everyone's kind of relaxing before the storm. The calm before the storm, if you will, is about to kick off very shortly as players make their way onto that stage there. The final practice has happened now. This is what it comes down to. Those last 6 games, 6 yesterday, but these 6 today. You mentioned the 1.5 multiplayer, strategizing, tactics. Things are really starting to go through our players' minds now as they get ready to line up and go out into that main stage. So we can't wait to see how it's all going to go down. But we talk about world-class duos. There's one duo we've not met yet. It's the almighty Miniminer at Kelly Link.
Thank you so much, Adam. Likewise, they've let us into the creator lounge somehow. We're here, Kelly. Yesterday, I got to hang out here. It was really, really fun. I was a little bit starstruck, got to meet so many cool creators. What was it like for you? Did you get to come up here, have a little bit of fun?
Oh, I got to talk to Panda and Jacob PR, so it was absolutely incredible for me as well. But Minnie, I am so excited to get into the competition.
Yeah, now we were on the desk yesterday, of course, breaking down the action. It was crazy, right? Have you got any highlights, any best moments, any favorites?
I mean, the Swizzy 1v2 was absolutely insane. However, Peterbot and Pollo getting the back-to-back victory royales was definitely the highlight of my day.
I loved that moment. Right there at the end of the desk as well, we were like, oh yeah, should we probably talk about some other teams other than Peterbot and Pollo? I feel like that's going to be a big talking point today as well. Final predictions. Who do you think is going to be lifting that trophy towards the end? I think I kind of already know the answer. What do you think?
I hope more than anything that it is a close game, that we don't know who's going to win until game 12, but Peterbot and Pollo.
Okay, well, that's not too surprising. I want to see Queasy and Thomas do well today. Second place. I'm excited to see if Thomas can pick up his first FNCS title. And the duo that will be taking us through that, it is MDF and Saka.
Thank you so much, Minnie, and I couldn't agree more. I can't wait to pick up where we left off, and obviously the doors are just opening up, so we have a long day in front of us.
Look, there is still 6 more games with a 1.5 times point multiplier that these players can look to try and take advantage of. We know it's not going to be easy. They knew it was going to be a challenge coming into this weekend, but I want to...
That multiplier really does start to add up if you, for whatever reason or another, come up short in a game. That is basically giving away almost what will feel like 2 rounds. So although we see a strong lead from our first place team at the moment, it really is anyone's game right now, especially teams that are trying to jump up and finish on a podium stand.
And what was really big for me was just getting that vibe off the player bus as well. Everybody just seemed so serious, so solemn, but like somber, but also ready and prepared to fight it out. So big day coming in, but we're gonna head back to Zeke.
There you have it. Kind of just getting to hear everyone chime in and give their thoughts. Man, that 1.5 times multiplier is really going to change the way we approach today. I mean, for someone like Pollo Peterbot, they're just going to run away with it. Some duos might look to just change everything completely. But as we look at this breakdown here, 100 points, Vivid, for that victory royale itself. That is more crucial than ever.
Yeah, I mean, it opens things wide up for some of these teams that maybe did not do as well as they kind of wanted to kind of just shoot all the way up to that leaderboard. Also, we got to point out, 6 points per elimination there as well. We saw some teams put up double elimination games yesterday, and incredible stuff.
Yeah, I mean, even the point difference between just getting second and that win now being more sort of exaggerated, it makes moments like yesterday when Peterbot and Pollo got the second place and lost to Swizzy, it makes those moments hurt a bit more, right? You really want to make sure you're cleaning out the game if you're in a top 2 situation.
That's right, and of course, we can't forget $400,000 on the line here for the duo can come out in the first place. And once again, everyone will just receive something for making it to this stage. But, especially with this multiplier, we're going to continue to kind of harp on this point. If a duo could go from, like, let's say last place up to even something like top 10, guys, this is like life-changing amount of money.
Yeah, it would be huge, but I'm not going to lie. Like, the nerves have to be going crazy right now because now we're in the second half of the competition. And I can tell you from experience of playing these events, once you kind of hit that mark, you kind of start to count the games you have left, right? Like, say, game number 1 of today, game number 7 across the competition does not go well. Then you're like, well, 5 games left. And then you go to the next one, 4 games left, 3 games left. They just disappear so fast.
Well, Vivid, as someone who's played in these types of competitions, how do you sort of prep coming into day 2? Are you thinking about changes in strategy at all? Like, what's the sort of headspace like?
Always a big fan of just sticking to my roots, right? Dipping into that memory tank, things that happened months ago, years ago, trying to use all that, not really trying to change many things up between day 1 and day 2.
That's right, and you can't forget, they are all competing for this accolades, prize money, and of course, a trophy.
to the main stage. I am standing beside this incredible trophy. Do not worry, I won't go near it. I am way too irresponsible. But here we are on the main stage. In a few hours' time, one of our duos will be stood next to this, lifting it high in the air as the global champions. Fort Worth, on a count of 3, let me hear who you think is going to win. 1, 2, 3. I think we covered just about every single team, all of them. For you guys at home, you're in for one heck of a ride. We are here to players getting ready. They'll be out very shortly, but it all comes down to this. This is it. The FNCS Global Championships 2024. Fort Worth, one more time, make some noise! Zeke, Levin, Buddy, Vivid, we can't wait to get things started. Over to you.
Thank you guys so much. Adam is so great. I mean, you've got these crowd riled up. They're excited. We're excited. So if you're just tuning in and you missed out on kind of where we're at, what's going down, we got a leaderboard for you. Let's start right where we should. Peterbot and Pollo, right? These guys just went absolutely crazy. And, you know, actually, before we get them, because I'm sure we're going to spend so much time talking about these guys, I wanted to highlight here some regional representation in this top 10.
Yeah, I mean, we go ahead and take a look at the teams. We've got 4NA up there, 5 EU, and shout out to the Asian team there in 10th place, representing. Cool to see when we're talking about an international competition, we have to always keep in mind that regional thing. But of course, yesterday, absolutely dominated by none other than Peterbot and Pollo themselves.
I mean, everybody had question marks going in. Were they going to consistently get out of the raft 12 out of 12 games, or at least, but they won 6 out of 6 games, you know, with medallion, with some loot, get that forecast, and they did. And when they let that happen, when the lobby lets that happen, Vivid, you are asking to be playing for second place.
We were watching this pretty much the entirety of the year over on NA, second, first, and first, and all 3 of the majors throughout the year. But watching this duo kind of evolve, everybody kind of, you know, they see Peterbot, they're like, oh, big ego, always just confidence. But kind of, I like to associate that with just going for high ground and sticking to kind of what they know. But they've actually adapted throughout the year, which I think is huge for a team like this, because it used to be very, very high ground heavy. But we've seen even yesterday, low ground was a favorite for them.
I think it speaks to the completeness of them as a duo, right? You feel comfortable in all different stages and phases of the game. And I mean, again, it's the reason why many people are already saying this is the best duo we have ever seen in competitive Fortnite.
Been very, very consistent throughout every single one of the games, and that's going to start Peterbot himself getting that mythic rifle to be able to use. And I was looking at the damage dealt yesterday. I was like, you know, I wonder who went ahead and actually dealt the most damage, and it was no surprise. Peterbot himself, 10,800 damage, separation of upwards of 4,000 between first and second there.
Yeah, what was this whole thing about how Peterbot can't perform on land? He doesn't do it on land. Give it a rest. I mean, this man is on a different level. And you already sort of highlighted there, the guy talks a lot of smack, right?
Yeah.
But he backs it up, man. And it's like, at a certain point, you just got to take your hat off and say, fair play, man. You might just be the best player. When you're there shouting on the stage, I think we can all probably agree.
Yeah, I mean, do we expect them to kind of come in and make any changes, right? Let's just pretend there's some crazy world where they're just like, they don't make it off spawn. Like, is that even a thing? Like, do we expect them to come out and just do more of the same we saw yesterday, and now with a 1.5 times multiplier?
Nah, I think it's going to be more or less the same as what we saw yesterday, right? Zeke was kind of having a conversation earlier. It was like, yeah, they're kind of contested over at the raft. Like, that could kind of cause some problems. Levin, let's be honest, they're really not contested at all. They're getting the exact loot that they want. Nobody's really messing with them. But it's not even the loot at the raft that we should really be paying attention to. It's the rotation out of that happens so fast towards that forecast tower.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the impact of forecast towers has just been insane, right? You ask the players, how crucial is it? And a lot of them will tell you, you get forecast tower, you better have a good game, because it is just so crucial. And these guys are using it so well to their advantage every single game, it feels like.
Absolutely. I wanted to highlight there the duel in second place and talk about them for a moment. It's Thomas HD and Queasy.
I think the duo that's going to perform the best this weekend is probably going to be Peterbot and Pollo. They've had like a really dominant performance this year, so yeah, I think that's them.
I think the duo that's going to perform the best this weekend is probably either Vico Flixie or Cami and Seti. I think Cami and Seti are just always going to perform on LAN, and them having an uncontested spot like that is also Vico Flixie. is crucial to their success.
Man, oh man, Queasy and Thomas HD. I would love to see them pick up their first title for Thomas HD in this setting. We put a 1.5 times multiplier. We put a Monarch pistol in the hands of Thomas HD. Anything could happen.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday, me and Levin were watching the games. We were like, oh, okay, let's go ahead and check out what Thomas is doing. Oh, hitting headshots with the Monarch pistol, I see. Yeah, just pretty much carrying that Surge game for the duo.
I mean, look, we got a lot of Danish observers, you know. They love to watch their own. And to be fair, today I'll give it to them because Thomas has been on a different level, right? He obviously has a lot of expectations on him, people wondering when is that win finally going to come. He is playing for it clearly because every single time, like you said, he was just on point. It was like you couldn't really catch him out at all either throughout the day. So yeah, if they can keep playing like that, they're going to be in for the running for sure.
Yeah, super tough there. I actually want to go ahead and reference that damage dealt that we kind of looked at just a little bit ago, right? Peterbot and Pollo obviously was towards the top of that. But there's a little bit of information on that one that I wanted to go ahead and discuss as well. It was the fact that Thomas was actually in second place. And that's actually really impressive because when we kind of think about it, something that we don't necessarily always talk about is the fact that Peterbot is getting a weapon consistently every single time, right? That mythic rifle. It's something that he will have in his hands every single game. Whereas Thomas kind of has to loot, right? Maybe he won't get a Monarch pistol every single game, right? Not as easy to be consistent when you're not getting the consistent loot that other players are getting, but still in second place for damage dealt.
Right. Might not have the consistent loot, but consistently putting that damage in for sure, right? He was on it throughout the day. And it was just good to see both of them sort of in a really good flow, right? I think when you look at Queasy, he's clearly feeling very confident about the game plan and the strategy moving throughout the game. We spoke to him after the tournament yesterday, right? And he sort of was VOD reviewing, looking back at their games. And one thing he's noted that I thought was really interesting was he felt coming into the competition, their mid games was going to be their strong point. Like mid games would be easy. It was just about figuring out what they do in end game. Whereas yesterday, it felt like it was the opposite. Their end games were magnificent, whereas mid games at times could be a bit scrappy. And so seeing if they can work on that, that should be even better today.
Okay. Well, guess what? We can actually hear from Queasy, from Thomas HD, because Adam Savage is standing by with the duo now.
Yeah, I've managed to wrangle a Queasy and a Thomas HD back here, fellas, and I'm keen to talk to you guys. Obviously, yesterday, Queasy, it was a great start to proceeding, second place right now. Did everything pan out as you expected? Anything different to what you kind of came into the Global Championships thinking it might be different?
I mean, we prepared a lot, but I feel like everyone in this global is like kind of hitting their strats. So it was kind of like freestyling plus what we prepared. So we'll see what happens today.
Obviously, mid-game as well, the fellas on the desk were talking about endgame looked magnificent yesterday, but mid-game today, how do you guys ensure that you capitalize on that as such a pivotal part of your game?
I mean, I feel like our mid-games yesterday was perfect, and I think we're just gonna like stick to the same and like maybe freestyle a little bit, but yeah, I think our mid-games will still be fine today.
We obviously saw back in 2022 Invitational, you guys, when you had to, you know, against the Cammy and Seti in that last game, Queasy, you were there, you kind of pushed. This today, Peterbot and Pollo, if they get those points early on, can you see you guys doing something similar again? Can you kind of like take the bull by the horns and really try and make it your game?
If third place is far enough, definitely.
I love that. I'm so excited. Thomas, as well, I mean, we all talk about this all the time, about your history in this competition. You've been there second so many times now. We're all desperate, me included. I want you to get this FNCS win. What would it mean for you to actually take away a global championship, first FNCS win today?
I mean, it would be crazy, like unreal. Like I would not expect to win on LAN as the first FNCS win, but yeah, it will literally complete my career, I feel like, and yeah.
We can't wait to see what happens. Queasy and Thomas, you're going to get ready very soon, but it could happen. Second place right now. Later on, it could be first. We'll have to wait and see. It's back to Zeke and the fellas.
Queasy, don't you get me excited like that, bro. They start landing on Peterbot and Pollo, I'm going to lose my mind. I'm going to pass out like 6 times. Levin's going to have to come over, pick me back up. It's going to be a crazy time. This duo, man, so excited to see them compete, to see the adjustments, because they may even have some secret strats lying in the weights. We have no idea. Let's take a look at that leaderboard, though. We wanted to kind of just talk through some of the more through some of the duos we're seeing, rather. In 10th place, we did want to kind of take a moment to double back here. Nepali, Coyote, they're in your 10th place. An Asia team representing and in that top 10. That's what I love to see.
Huge there for the duo, right? Landing all the way up north. And honestly, the place that we kind of saw them mostly throughout the day yesterday was actually fighting over that bunker.
Right, and obviously that bunker is usually claimed by Reet and Ritual. They're accustomed to fighting for it. And when I asked Reet and Ritual about, like, how do you feel fighting those guys, they've naturally, as you'd expect from Reet especially, felt incredibly confident. But the one thing that they made sure to do, and even their coach Sven did this as well, he gave props to Koyota. He said, look, when we're fighting for that bunker, it's not straightforward, we're just going to roll these guys because they're an Asian team. No, Koyota can keep up. Of course, Napoli as well is a player that gets a lot of credit, a lot of hype. So it's good to see these guys repping their region strong, the highest sort of place in smaller region team right now. Hope we can see them stay in that top 10.
And one of the most impressive things for me, and we actually saw, taking a look at some of those highlights right there, getting into the end game, 0 eliminations, right? If we kind of take a look at some of the competitions that happen on some of those smaller regions, those that kind of win FNCSs are placed very, very well, usually they have so many eliminations, right? That's kind of like their play style. That's how they get it done. That's how they get the win. But here, being able to kind of adjust, as you can see there, just 11 eliminations over the course of 6 games and still finding yourself in the top 10. That means to me that they're actually getting able to get that storm surge from a distance, which means that there's a strategy based around it. There must have been a ton of prep.
Absolutely. We'll see if they can sort of keep that going, because as we know, with these 12-game formats, the meta evolves as the day, pans out, right? Queasy sort of mentioned it earlier. People freestyle, they figure things out as the games go by. So hopefully these guys can keep up with it.
Yeah, and I think it's an interesting point you bring up that obviously they're getting, it seems like they should have more eliminations, but then you look at the top of the leaderboard, you're like, oh yeah, Peterbot, Pollo, they're kind of like affecting the entire lobby. So 11 eliminations over 6 games, good enough, works for us. We wanted to also highlight Acorn and Cold for you, obviously just a powerhouse of a duo coming out of NA. And now once again, we have to look at everything through the lens of the 1.5 times multiplier, right?
They played super well yesterday, and I got to give a big shout out to the early game, right? How they actually handled being contested. First and foremost, just taking the fight to the other team and winning it, always there, and just always just so consistent, right? Levin, I got to give a shout out to you. Something that we talked about earlier yesterday was something that you gave a shout out to Acorn and Cold all the way at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I remember we did an episode of the Drop Spot, right? The first one of 2024. And the lovely Adam Savage asked me, who do you think is going to win the Global Championships? This was before Major 1 was even played. And to me, the obvious answer was just Acorn and Cold, right? Because they're a duo you can rely on, you can guarantee they're going to step up, going to perform. To what you said there about, 1.5x multiplier, Zeke, just now, recently in Major 3, day 1 of Grand Finals in NA wasn't the best day for them. Day 2, they were the best team on day 2 with the 1.5x multiplier, right? And it shot them all the way up the standings. So I, hope to see more from that today with these two. I'm a massive Cold fan as well. I think he's probably the only player that you could say really has matched the level or come close to the level of Peterbot over the past year.
Cold gets so much love, and for good reason, right? I was like, how has Cold really played? Because we always see him towards the top of the leaderboard. And I took a look at it, and I was like, holy, it's like that? So Cold's made it to 13 FNCS finals. That includes Invitational and Globals last year. He has only placed outside of top 7 one time.
Gosh.
One time. Are you kidding me? So he's gotten top 7 12 times throughout FNCS. That's why those type of predictions are made.
I love to hear it. I love to hear it. And what we would love to do is hear from Acorn. Adam Savage is standing by. Over to you.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, I'm delighted to be joined by Acorn right now. We're just catching up about all things life in general, really. It's been such a great year for you guys, for you and Cold. Walk us through kind of like what happened yesterday, that first day. I want to talk about off-spawn particularly. Are things going in the right direction right now?
Okay, so yesterday was a good day. We ended up 5th. Off-spawn's looking good. We eliminated them 3 times, and the other 3 times we just split it. So depending on our situation, we kind of make a decision. But it's looking good. Overall, I feel like we're in control.
Because we were just talking just a second ago, and the confidence, despite the kind of like the big lead that Peterbot and Pollo have got themselves already, 5th place right now, there's still plenty to play for out there.
Oh, we're winning. Oh, 100% we're winning.
I love that.
We're only going for first. The thing about me is I need that trophy. That's what people have to understand. I'm going for that trophy. That's what I want. I got my eyes on it. If we have to land on Peterbot, we're landing on Peterbot.
I kind of respect the greediness. I love that. You want that trophy, it's yours. Talking about the rest of the day, I mean, this year you guys won Major 1. You've had an incredible time together as well. This will be the icing on the cake, obviously, but today, the 1.5 multiplier, how does that change things as well for the lobby in general and for you guys as a team?
I think it's great. 1.5 times multiplier, it makes everyone still try. Even if you're in 50th place, you could still end up top 5. So I think it's great. Also, me and Cold, we're a day 2 team, so we adapt really well. Once we play first day, we learn from it. Day 2, we come back, we come strong, and we make sure to close it out.
And finally, obviously, raising that trophy here in Fort Worth, the Global Championship trophy, to add to your career, the repertoire of stuff you've earned thus far, how great would it be here in this moment to do that in front of all your peers, all the other teams internationally, you and Cold lifting it high above your heads?
I mean, that's like one of my biggest goals. Like that, I think that's the only thing that's left in Fortnite for me is just a LAN win. So.
There you go. You heard it from Acorn right there. Could Acorn and Cold go all the way? They have everything lined up. They're very close to that top spot. Will it happen? We'll wait and see. Back to Zeke and the gang.
I don't know if they got that on camera, but the moment that Acorn said, hey, we'll land on Peterbot, we'll land on Poyo if it has to go that way, the crowd erupted. They were like, yes, that's what we want to see. You can tell we've got some Acorn and Cold fans in the building.
Clearly they respect the courage, right? I think that's what this game is all about. But it's so interesting how Acorn sort of echoed a very similar sentiment to Thomas HD and Creasy, where it's like, this is that last thing we want to achieve in our careers, and we are willing to do anything to make that happen. There's a lot of legacy riding on today for a lot of our historic players.
I love the acknowledgement there from Acorn, right? Noticing or recognizing that they are a day 2 type of team. So it sounds like to me, they're feeling pretty confident.
And how many other duos are feeling the same thing, right? Day number 2. We've had it, and I kind of, again, I think back to the drop spot leading into this, right? Benno saying, hey, day 1, it's about kind of coming out with these strategies. And then day 2, everyone goes, okay, this is what we're kind of having to deal with. How are we going to respond, right? So some of these teams will definitely look to come out strong to just change. I mean, if we start to see people go, Peterbot Poyo, we're not going to give you that medallion. We need to take it back. I mean, how will that go? More to see in the future. With that being said, though, we were kind of curious to hear the players' thoughts on how they felt about each other. So take a listen.
This is the biggest tournament of the season.
100 players, 50 teams of 2, players all around the world. They all travel to one place to play on a stage in front of everyone.
One weekend, one map, last one standing wins the game, 12 games, and they crown the champion. That's how I'd explain it.
No other game's doing it like Fortnite. The esports here is crazy.
So the most consistent duo this year.
I mean, it's obvious.
Best duo in the world right now. I mean, placements speak for themselves.
They got second major 1, first major 2, first major 3.
And they won like a lot of duo cash cups, so.
Well, the first season in general, they were dominating.
Now they're looking really strong.
I don't think anyone put them that crazy.
Like 100% the most dominating team of everyone.
I mean, there's no one else more consistent than us, I would say.
I'm not sure that it will surprise anyone, but I'm pretty sure that Kami and Saitsu will do good, as they always do on LANs.
They kind of just have everything scripted. They have the entire game scripted and how they're going to play it.
They're always one step ahead of everybody.
I'll say Epic Whale and Muzz impressed me with their performance. We just stopped playing with them last season to play with Benno, and I was really hoping he qualifies for Globalist. So them getting, I think, 7th, it was impressive for me.
And then another team which is like also pretty underrated, so is